What's going on, Clippers fans? Look who's back from Japan, William Updike. We are coming at you. We are Clips and Dip, 2/3 of us. Adam Osland is working on the radio and possibly streaming from his own Clippers podcast that he has going. So we are maybe going to have him join. We're talking the Clippers' big win against the Mavs at Intuit.
Absolutely huge win. Yeah.
Right? I mean, first win at Intuit. You absolutely love to see it.
Ribbon cutting done right.
Ribbon cutting done right for sure. We'll get into it. They were up 20 at one point. They look to be just, defensively a little more locked in terms of deflections and blocks and steals. How did you feel about this game overall?
It's interesting. It didn't really sway my opinion hugely one way or another. It wasn't there was nothing that was so encouraging that I was like, oh, great. But at the same time, there was nothing so terrible that I, left this preseason game feeling worse. I thought, the most interesting and apparent thing is definitely some of the athleticism and speed that was brought to the table. The amount of lobs that we saw was ridiculous, unlike anything that we saw from a Clippers team in the 2-1-3 era, which obviously not to compare them from a talent perspective because there's no real use in doing that. But I thought that was encouraging to see. I thought a lot of active hands on defense. There was a great sequence there that led to the Clippers being up 15, where Harden had a strip. Had a half court pass to Zoo, and then on the following possession, Terrence Mann got a strip, got it to Derrick Jones Jr. The play above the rim was really nice, and like I said, the active hand. So there were some good things to see. You brought this up pretty aptly. That was just we just still got to see it against an actual full NBA team. Because that
right.
If we were seeing the same sort of athleticism and bounce translate against another team, I think that would be obviously a lot more encouraging.
Yes, and there was the starting lineup tonight. For those of you who missed it, it was James Harden, Norm Powell, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., and Ivica Zubac. Ty Lue just confirmed post-game that's who's starting opening night, which not a big surprise. Kawhi Leonard is out for the preseason. He's still doing drills. If you thought he was going to start opening night,
sorry,
I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry that this is the first time you're hearing of this.
Yeah, in the starting lineup tonight, this is, so James Harden tonight, the assists were there, obviously, right?
Yeah.
with 12 dimes, no turnovers.
Yeah, incredible. That's the sort of efficiency. Obviously that we're gonna need. I thought what was interesting too is I feel that he not only has he unlocked Zoo's own offensive game, he's made Zoo a little bit of a better passer, at least in finding James Harden. I thought that sort of chemistry has developed a nice two-way communication that I thought was nice to see. I thought Zoo made some kind of heads up reads that maybe we wouldn't have seen in the past, just because. Well, you brought this up, so I'll let you get into it. But I think some of it boils down to the offensive playbook being simplified a little bit. So I think Zoo is having less to think about with less guys on the floor, and that does make it easy for him, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Why don't you break it down? What are your thoughts on sort of what you determine to be the simplicity of the Clippers' offensive part?
So there's not a lot of shooting for the Clippers starting five. You have the new starting five, right? You have Harden and Norm. I'm also concerned why EvilBot has my LinkedIn picture as their YouTube profile, but I will think about that for the rest of my life. That's pre-mustache Chuck. That's old Chuck photo. It's just going to be a simple offense, and I don't mean that in a mean way. Ty Lue's very good at in-game adjustments, but right now we kind of have the pick and roll with Zoo. We have Harden doing his ISO thing, and the rest of that still kind of needs to get fleshed out. So the Clippers aren't going to be an incredibly intricate offense to open this season, and we saw the good versions of James Harden's distribution tonight with that, right? 12 assists. Sorry, he had 6 turnovers, which is not good.
I think shooting 0 turnovers. I was like, oh damn.
No, I did too. With the NBA stat, the site just had not loaded, so that was totally my fault. He didn't shoot well, obviously. The defense is not good from James Harden right now, but he is the entire offensive system. Like this team, so he's not playing on Thursday. Get ready for the offense to start a little differently on Thursday without James Harden.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Like the backcourt with him and Norm is going to hemorrhage points. Like defensively, it is not going to be very good. And I'm hoping, with the brain trust there with Jeff Van Gundy, they can kind of figure out some ways to get those guys into positions where they are a little bit more effective. Certainly, if you can get James Harden some post, if you can get him sort of like on more stationary defenders, get him kind of in positions where he has historically been able to succeed a little bit better. I think that could go a long way. I don't know how exactly you game that out given the rest of the guys on the floor, but it's something to think about. It's something that they're going to have to work around if this ends up being the long-term starting lineup, and obviously it changes as soon as Kawhi is back in the lineup, but without that, they're going to have to figure something out because it is not going to be adequate for frankly what this offense is going to be capable of, putting up on the other end.
Yeah, you look at the amount of threes put up by the starting five tonight, and it was 12 threes by the starting five, and everyone played pretty much 20 to 22-ish minutes. Feels a little low. I thought
Terrence Mann needs to be more aggressive too offensively. Sorry.
Yes. No, I mean, that's been the Terrence Mann.
Entirely different tangent there.
No, but you're right. That's been he took no threes.
Three field goal attempts is not going to. That's
zero threes.
Yeah, that's just not going to get it done if he's going to hold on to that starting spot. Which, I mean, to be perfectly frank, like let's say for whatever reason he can't, or they deem him like not fit for that.
Who's taking his spot?
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare unless I don't know you have Batum in there and you do some real freaky things with like how you run minutes and to keep him still at like 15 per game, but have him start. I don't foresee that being something that could work. I don't foresee that being something that's worthwhile. But if Terrence offensively isn't aggressive enough, like there isn't a lot of good choices to round out that starting five.
If your preference is offense, there's one choice, and that's Kevin Porter Jr., who Adam Osland said, I believe, 2 minutes into the first preseason game that he could see. There we go. Got the balloons. But KPJ had an efficient game tonight. He played 19 minutes, 18 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, 3 steals, 4 turnovers, 1 of 3 from 3. His best game of the preseason. And he'll probably get more of a chance to build on it on Thursday. No idea what the minutes are going to look like on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because like Harden's not playing, have to assume the young guys are going to get run. Chunk Sampson asking if Zoo's starting spot is in jeopardy with Kai Jones. No.
That sub was interesting today, and like just full disclosure, while I was in Tokyo, really watching preseason, the hours and everything just didn't really line up.
What the fuck, dude?
Also really hard to catch.
What the fuck, dude?
Clippers preseason basketball in Tokyo.
Bullshit, dude.
There's not, unfortunately, there's not a large enough fandom for that. But I was impressed with what Kai Jones brought, not to the point of anything like in a long-term way threatening Zoo's spot, obviously, but I did think that was interesting that was the first sub that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, he is the backup 5. Like, I think because Ty Lue's talked about wanting Kai to get better at the pick and roll with James Harden, and they've been working after practice. So I think that was a big part of it too. Considering right now, the second unit is Chris Dunn, Kevin Porter Jr., Amir, Nico, and Kai Jones. And Ty Lue said he's going to play 10 guys to start the season. So we're going to see Kai and James Harden together. Yeah, so Richard, I believe you're talking about Kai. Kai's defense, he gambles a little bit on defense. You love the 2 blocks. But you can see where the athleticism helps. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there is good stuff there. It's just the decision making's got to be good against NBA rosters. And this is no disrespect to who they were playing tonight, but the top 10 that you play in the regular season is different than the top 10 you played tonight. But Chunk's bringing up a good point, right? Like, he's looked better. He's gotten better every game.
They talked about it on the broadcast, and Jim Jackson even seemed pretty impressed with like that his progression each game. Kai Jones seems to be getting better, which is exactly what you want to see. Curious, like, how do you think that this affects like Mo Bamba? Like, what do you think the Kai Jones Mo Bamba battle is like had we seen him with a healthy preseason? Do you think there's anything there? Or you still think it's Kai Jones most likely cemented in sort of that backup spot?
Man, I don't know. And I think the reason that I say that, actually, I know the reason I say that, I haven't watched a shit ton of Mo Bamba.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of question marks, and even how he would be used on this team, it's definitely still a question mark. Just having that more, well, it's interesting because I want to say more prototypical size, but like Kai is definitely the stronger of the two.
Right. Mo Bamba doesn't exactly have post moves. He has the same kind of issues defensively. So like Kai has been, I mean, Chunk's saying it here. I'm wondering if they think that he's been better than I mean, just because he's been available, but like, I don't know, because that's the other thing that Law Murray was talking about, standing Kai versus running Kai. Kai Jones in transition, give it to me all day. The Clippers looked great in transition with Kai Jones.
I mean, chasing down blocks and stuff too. Like,
yes,
when things are up and moving, I mean, he is going to be great. If that is something that they can consistently do, like consistently keep this team in motion, it's going to be huge. I think that
it's the standing issue. It's the half-court offense issue with Kai Jones.
Yeah, but on both ends of the floor too, because I think against more set defenses, he's going to struggle. Like those, some of the size differences where the athleticism is, I don't want to say nullified, but it's a little bit less of a big deal. Athleticism when it comes down to like just a tactician sort of offense in the half court. I think that like some of that athleticism will be nullified. Which again, not to knock on him, he just had a great preseason game. I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see what he can do against a full NBA team. I did come away. I mean, he was, I said that not a whole lot of this changed my overall view on the team, but I will say he was one of the bright spot takeaways I thought of this game in particular.
And a good momentum guy. A guy who, like, first of all, Intuit sounded great. The fans were loud. Shout out to the wall. They were very excited every time Kai Jones was dunking. A great momentum guy. And the Clippers are a team that this year are going to need to use momentum a lot. Just because. So Richard was talking about KPJ. In addition to his offense, I thought he was aggressive defensively. He was very aggressive defensively. He had 3 steals. I think he had, what was his foul situation? No fouls, which is genuinely surprising given the 3 steals. So again, more stuff to build on. He should have a chance to build on it. Coming up,
his most impressive game too. Like talking about bright spots from this, definitely KPJ's most impressive game from the preseason. So feeling good about the second unit. You guys like it? I want to be there.
You're not really a Dunn head. Chris Dunn had a nice game tonight. 3 for 4, chunky-ish stat line, 9 points, a block, 2 steals, 2 boards.
I think he's a really excellent pair next to KPJ too, because while he doesn't have like the high ceiling sort of upside, he's so consistent, like he's so consistent and steady in a way that I think that when those two are sharing the floor together, that's going to bring a really nice balance. And we'll see how that can translate into wins as that sort of relationship grows. But Dunn, I mean, I guess just sort of as advertised, like I'm not knocking the guy or anything.
No,
it's just I'd say the bill of goods was basically what we thought.
Yeah, he hasn't been bad. He's had like an okay preseason. It's not like jumped off the page, right? But I'm not, again, it's kind of, he's one of those guys. He's not going to usually jump off the page like that.
But the consistency, like for a team that has currently so many question marks, is going to be something that's really, really important. We all have our like eyes kind of sparkle for like the high upside kind of outcomes for the season.
Yes.
Like it's going to be those guys who can remain consistent. That's going to go a long way for a team that has so much influx.
And that's where like Amir Coffey comes in huge, right? Like Amir is on the second unit now, like seemingly. And he did Amir things tonight. 3 for 8, not exactly ideal, but he had 9 points. He helps the team in transition, which is still risky for the Clippers. Transition just always kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
I love this point by Mike Dang. Chris Dunn doing exactly what we need, the dirty work without complaints. Totally.
Yeah.
Love this. Exactly what he did. Exactly what the Clippers need. D Flow saying Clippers averaging 10 to 15 steals a game for sure. They need to. The steals and the blocks get to the transition buckets, which are the easiest thing for some of these Clippers to get. And that is how they're going to have the turnover differential, which was an issue to open this game. I think they started at one point, they had 3 turnovers and 3 made field goals, which was not ideal. But if they can cause them, if the stocks are there, this team will still be very annoying, which will be good for the Clippers.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's another one of those things, like, even though it can be high risk, it's high reward for a backcourt that defensively is going to struggle. If you are able to generate more turnovers, that, I mean, that, that goes a huge way, that keeps those undersized guards and sort of lesser defenders out of the mix, right? If you can sort of at the point of attack be pesky enough to be creating things and be able to get into your transition offense. I mean, that's massive. That's the ideal way to nullify sort of that defensively lackluster backcourt.
Mike Dang saying we forced 29 turnovers is insane. This I feel about this kind of thing though is like someone when we played the Warriors like, hey, we held the Warriors to 91 points. It's the preseason.
Yeah.
it's the preseason.
We held Klay Thompson 0-9 shooting.
He looks bad, but he's not going to be asked to be. I don't know. Richard Heacock, got to hand to the fans tonight. Really felt like a true home court insight into it. Love to hear that. We're going to be there for opening night, which is going to be awesome. But that's awesome. Cannot wait to hear everyone's stories just from being at Intuit in general. The new stadium is fantastic. If you have a chance to go, absolutely go. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other things that happened tonight that was interesting. Oh, Derek Jones Jr. We should talk about him. Someone in the comments mentioned the injury scares. There were a couple injury scares this game, which is not fun.
Didn't Harden take like a weird knee knock that looked not great?
Yeah. Norm, Derek Jones, just put him on ice. But he was energetic tonight. But he brought the ball up a lot for the Clippers, which was interesting. I guess I wouldn't have expected that much. Maybe just because it's preseason, but like he was initiating the offense more than I was thinking would have happened. And I don't know if that's going to continue, but interesting. I hope he gets to show out a little bit on I hope that he gets to show out a little bit on Thursday too, because I'm interested what Derek Jones Jr. looks like without Harden on the floor.
Yeah.
Everyone's job is harder without James Harden on the floor. So Thursday is going to be telling.
That is going to be, it's going to be really telling. I mean, I'm surprised. I guess I don't want to say surprised because I do think that he made comments talking about like how big a full sort of training camp and preseason would be for him. So I guess I don't want to say I'm surprised that he played every game so far, but I'm a little surprised that he played every game so far. I don't know how they generate enough offense without him in the lineup. I think that is going to be so. I mean, is that gonna make Adam's prophecy true? Is that gonna be what puts KPJ in the starting lineup for this team?
No Harden, no Kawhi. I mean, no Harden, no Kawhi hurts my head to think about for what this Clippers team will look like, which isn't anything new.
Yeah,
but this roster, Jim Johnson, happy birthday, by the way, to Jim Johnson. Yeah. Jim Jackson was talking about how, like there's a lot of questions up in the air with the set lineups, but it's nice because the Clippers have options. And it's like, well, yes, the Clippers have options, but it's not.
Are they good options?
Are they good options? And they're not bad. But it's not like a couple years ago when it was like, oh, this roster top to bottom might be on paper the best Clippers roster ever. We're not working with that same level of roster. So that'll be interesting. A lot of people in the quotes talking about, or in the chat talking about Jordan Miller. Again, He came in tonight, immediately hit a bucket. Next possession, I think he grifted a foul, which that's going to be shit the Clippers need. Jordan Miller not being in the top 10 of the rotation isn't incredibly surprising, but I would say I'm a little bummed for him.
Again, I think it just comes down to experience and consistency. And if he can show in whatever limited minutes he gets that he can have some sort of consistency, yeah, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, he's been like the most impressive of the unknown quantities so far, right? I mean, to me,
that's very true. Yeah.
So you just gotta consider like his age, and again, like the biggest question for any of these guys is just consistency. Like, how consistently can you do this? I mean, even KPJ, who had a great game, and I hope that we can see some level of this. Like, what consistently does that look like on this team? Because it's going to be much different than any other role he's been asked to play. And there will be nights, especially with nights with Harden and Kawhi both out, where he will be able to kind of go back into a ball dominant, score first sort of role, and I think that he'll fit more comfortably into that. But what does the consistency look like when he's not that guy?
Yes. The up and downs, it's going to be a roller coaster
So
of up and downs this season.
Richard has an interesting point here. Like, I think he says, I think the depth of this team provides T-Lue a lot of options. And to me, it's kind of a similar problem, honestly, like as we had last year. It's like there are a lot of pieces, but a lot of them seem like kind of lateral moves. You know what I mean? There's not like it's not like it's a drastically different look necessarily with some of these pieces. It's kind of either a lateral move or a downgrade. And I do think that the depth is there. I just wonder if there's some redundancy as well as some places of need, most notably like the 4 and the 5, where we don't really have the depth. Because like at the guard and stuff, maybe even the small forward position, I can totally see that point.
Yes, there's
a lot of depth, there's a lot of maneuverability there, but there's some pretty big holes at the same time. So I think how they mitigate that is going to say a lot about what this team's ultimate record is finishing out this season, which it's our year, so probably pretty good.
Yeah. People are incredibly high. I don't know. During the game, they showed the graphic of the records last year, and you look at what the records were for playing teams. I want it to be there. I do not think we are going to be a top 5 seed. That does not change Williams' prophecy. It's the Clippers.
Oh, I didn't say anything about seeding.
But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of guys that need to be as good as they've ever been and do things they've never really done before. We talked about the starting defense in the backcourt.
Totally.
That's just putting us in the hole already. And again, that's a knock on these guys.
That likely isn't even going to improve. You know what I mean? Like these are both vet players. They are what they are defensively at this point. I think there are some things you can do schematically to sort of mitigate some of it, like I said, but there's not going to be like a huge outlier from that backcourt defensively. And I think, looking at this team finishing out of the play-in, we are assuming that like Zoo does have a bigger role and continues to be as efficient. And I think that once again, I think that it's a very probable scenario, but it just depends again on how he's used. And like Terrence Mann has to take a jump this year for us to finish out of the plan.
So does Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah, and again, I do see both of those things as very probable outcomes. It doesn't make them definite. It's going to depend on their role and how they perform individually. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this game didn't I'm not like wildly down or up on the team from where I was. It kind of just confirmed a lot of things I thought. There are still a lot of question marks. With Harden out there and some younger guys in front of him, I do think that that's really interesting. Like I do think that does provide a sort of depth or dimensionality to this offense that we haven't always had. And while there's not the individual high level talent, I do think like the sum of its parts is very interesting.
And specifically with Derrick Jones Jr., I feel like if he can get his stocks, Rocco had that crazy, he led the league in stocks. I think it was 2 seasons in a row or something like that. I don't think Derrick Jones Jr. is going to lead the league in combined steals and blocks or anything like that. But if he can get used to doing that more in his game and then get rewarded in transition by James Harden and stuff like that, that's going to open up a bunch for this team. You look at that. I like what you said about youth with James Harden. If he can just get them in the right spots, they're going to be fine. Murray had a great tweet where he said the best thing the Clippers offense can do is catch the passes from James Harden.
I mean, 100%. I do think that is, like, while I know the team was trying to go in a little bit more into a defensive identity this year, which they certainly did do with the personnel changes, that sort of youth does make things easier for this stage of Harden in his career. And I mean, obviously, you would rather have another sort of all-star caliber player next to him, but barring that, I do think that having a lot of young guys who are going to get out in front of him and run is an excellent plan B, is an excellent another option.
Yeah. I like what Holo Dolo is saying. Our defense has looked like all the things that they've been preaching in the preseason, right? Like steals, blocks, getting into passing lanes, all that stuff has been there, right? The preseason building block version of that has been there. The transition defense has been okay to bad at sometimes,
yeah,
but it's preseason.
It's preseason, so like I don't know how much stock to take in that one, but yes,
It's nice to see them buying into what Van Gundy and Ty Lue are yelling. No, I'm assuming yelling at them to do, which is good to see. We've had a couple people bring this up. Did you see the Paul George injury? I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
I hope he's not hurt. You never want a guy to be hurt. But I hope he's healthy.
Yeah, I want to boo him playing, but badly on the Sixers.
Yeah, I don't want him to be hurt. We got to give a shout out to Nico Batum. Nico Batum hit KPJ with a really nice bounce pass from the elbow. I think it was like in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. And you just saw what Nico brings to this team in terms of recognizing cutters, all that stuff. Well, vintage Nico. And he was telling someone to check the scoreboard, I think, who was talking shit at one point, which signed me up for all of it.
Another guy, too, like when we talk about this second unit, who is remarkably consistent. His minutes are going to be lower this season than any year he's been with the Clippers. But I do expect them to be impactful minutes. And, he is another one of those sort of just settlers. I mean that in a good way, like a settler of the team, not a settler of, I don't know, Catan? I don't know.
I think people know what you're saying. He's a tone setter and he's a tone settler.
Yeah, he settles people down. He's not settling, personally.
Sure.
Yeah. You get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's overall a good season. Or a good preseason game. I like how much the starters played. Ty Lue ran them until like pretty much halfway through the third, like he said. So It was nice to see. Again, we're going to see that starting lineup. We can kind of get into it. We got 10, 15-ish more minutes are here. But the Kawhi thing, not that it wasn't concerning before tonight, but I have, and this is based on the limited information we have and that we're going to get. I don't know when we're feeling like we're supposed to be expecting Kawhi to be back. He's not playing any of the preseason. He hasn't been doing practicing.
If he's still not doing practicing, man, I don't know. I am.
And to confirm, yes, he's not in the starting five, which that's based on what Ty Lue said after this game tonight. He's not in the starting five. I assume he's scratched. I don't think they're bringing Kawhi off the bench ever again.
No.
Nor should they, because it doesn't help anything.
No, it doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, if he's still not doing practice, I mean, I think we should be probably marking our calendars for December.
Yeah.
Hopefully early, but yeah, I think that's probably what we're looking at. It's also, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but it is a brutal start to the season.
Oh yeah.
And if Kawhi Leonard is not practicing in at full capacity at the end of October,
I mean, 2 weeks.
Yeah. You're gonna roll him out there in a week from now against one of the hardest slates of games of the season? I don't know. I don't see it.
You look at the opening. You look at that opening week. You go Suns, Nuggets, Warriors back to back, Blazers, Suns back to back. Which,
so if he was there, he'd play in 2 of the games. So yeah, I think I think December is probably like when you should start thinking about worrying.
And I like this Mike, you might be right. Kawhi might be the Christmas gift.
Yeah.
It might be, or depending when Hanukkah starts this year, it's going to be a December gift scenario, which is tough.
I think at like earliest possible availability is going to be sometime there in December.
And this is just based on what we've seen from the media, what Ty Lue has said. This is not scuttlebutt.
Ty Lue said.
Yeah, there's never going to be any clarity. Yeah, it just sucks. Evilbot asking, Chuck and Will, from what you saw in these preseason games, do you think this will need to trade, and what a 2 or a true 4? I think it's kind of, I don't mean obviously in a rude way, but I think given the personnel right now, it's kind of obviously a true 4. But I also,
depending on what you're packaging, I guess, for a 2, like if you're sending 2 to 3 guards out, I could see that.
And I'm also wondering, because you're not trading to win now this year. This isn't a win now.
No, I mean, we know that they're firmly looking at the future, and that totally makes sense.
Will they? Like, I don't, unless there's someone out there with multiple years left on a good deal who plays the 4, who they can trade PJ Tucker and Bones or something for. I don't see them making a sweeping move. Just again, with what this team's expectations, maybe what the front office thinks, like we're going to compete, all that good stuff, but it's not a win now year for the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be something to monitor closer to the deadline, obviously, as we see like sort of who's disgruntled, who's available.
Who's disgruntled?
I mean,
you're not wrong, dude. Yeah.
Because that would definitely change the situation. But just in terms of salaries, they could aggregate. They could aggregate a few now with sort of how things are distributed in the wake of Paul George's departure. That could make sense, but again, like not giving up any assets. It's
no assets to really give.
It's just gonna depend on what's available. But yeah, without assets to package with it, I don't know. It's just not. It's not the great. It's not a high leverage. It's not a high leverage position to be in.
It's a weird spot to be in. This team is in, like, we understand they have the long plan. They're going to have the open, max spot after next year and stuff like that. It's like they're prepping for in the next couple of years. They're not a win now roster.
I don't know. Unless you could sell somebody on some of the youth and like a mid-size contract. Again, we've just already done business with like the Blazers, because I was going to say like maybe you could get Grant or something, but I don't think that works, given that Norm would probably have to be involved in the deal. Yeah.
I like this point from Chunk. I'd rather have another gadget 3 than a bad 4 just to have one.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Someone's asking why we're not taking anything into consideration.
You can't knock John Collins though in this.
Yeah, man, you might be the only Chunk might be the only Clippers fan who doesn't want John Collins. John Collins has been in the Clippers rumor mill. Okay, X Mongo Project, is Harden just pacing himself, or is this the Harden we are expecting the whole season? I'm assuming you might be talking about the defensive side of the ball, because offensively, I think James Harden, other than the shooting, which I just think is a product of getting back into game speed, has looked pretty ready for the season to start offensively. But defensively, it's not pretty right now. It is bad.
Well, and we talked a little bit about that earlier. But like, I do think there are some ways schematically to get him into better positions to succeed. Like, getting him post, like getting him in the post where he can get deflections, that kind of thing that he's proven to be good at, and he has like a larger body and doesn't have to roam around as much. I think it's going to make a lot of sense, especially with what all he has to do offensively. Offensively, I'm not really very concerned. I think he's looking, I think he's looking pretty good, and it's not, it's still preseason. Like, he's played in all the games, but not like played.
I think I'm going to coin a term that I don't think has ever been used to describe an athlete heading into the season. He might be in the best shape of his life. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Someone shape of his life.
Okay, hold on. The person who was mad at us is asking. My only question was if you would trade Zach and Amir Coffey for DeAndre Ayton.
No, I wouldn't.
Who is Zach?
Is that Zubac?
Yes, but no, I don't want DeAndre Ayton on this team.
No, there's not a trade out there.
I don't like the guy.
There's not a trade out there that would want the Clippers to take on that contract.
Law Murray just had a really crazy tweet. The Clippers had some ridiculous differentials tonight versus the Mavericks, and I think Mike Dang will like this one. 39-23 points off of turnovers in favor of the Clippers. 62-36 points in the paint in favor of the Clippers.
Yeah, the points in the paint was insane.
36-21 on the fast break in favor of the Clippers. I would love to see this trend carry over into the regular season, but I don't think I don't know. The games that the Clippers win, they will, and this isn't going to be a shock, probably win points in the paint, probably win fast break points. That's going to be the hallmark of the Clippers' victories this year. And
Yeah.
James Harden probably making 5 threes or something crazy like that. Yeah. Mike Dang is all in on this preseason defense, and I love the passion, Mike. It's going to be, I don't know. Thursday's going to be really interesting. Again, without Harden, like just what the offensive structure looks like and everything like that. But a great game tonight from Kai Jones, who's gotten better every game. Really efficient game from Kevin Porter Jr. Hope he can string that together because, again, he is part of the 10-man rotation. He's effectively the backup point, right? Yeah. Chris Dunn's playing the 2. KPJ is, I think we looked it up on the last episode we did with Adam. It's like KPJ's played the point guard like 95% of the time or something something crazy with this time.
I don't know. I guess I would have thought Dunn would be initiating more when they brought him in, but I don't know. We'll see.
But KPJ, hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Field goal by distance. That's not what I need. Yeah, he was. Yeah, okay. 94% point guard, 21-22, 99%, 22-23. KPJ is the backup one right now. So he's going to need to be better decision. I don't know. We're going to see a lot of good stuff happen on Thursday, hopefully, that gives us more confidence about the second unit. I'm not down on it, but with no James Harden on the court,
it's going to be tough, man. It's just going to be a tall order. I don't,
Julio Rodriguez is on Mike Dang's. Clamp City is back.
Do it.
First in opponent field goal percentage. Mike Dang, I think he might be on Team William Updike in terms of this is our year. I'm getting a lot of this is our year vibes from everybody.
Yeah.
Right now. Richard wanting to know, is there a way to move PJ by sending back cash like we did with Russ? Our cash essentially paid Utah to buy him out. I have no idea.
Since we're under the tax, I think we can send out cash in those types of deals. So I think it's possible. I really don't know why we haven't reached any sort of conclusion on this. I mean, it makes sense.
No one wants him.
I know, yeah, but like he couldn't get like a deal for a buyout thing. You know what I mean? Maybe
he doesn't want a buyout.
He doesn't have a no trade clause.
Dude, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I am in the same boat. This shit needs to be done with.
But I'm very surprised that there hasn't been a move like that. Like, obviously, there was no way we were getting anything of value, or even. I mean, I don't even think another team would give you $12 million in contracts. Like, forget about assets. Good. Like, I don't even know if they give you $12 million in contracts back. So I don't know. Maybe the teams with cap space just haven't been willing.
He's just not good anymore.
Well, no shit. I'm not.
It's like that's what sucks.
He can't play on any team. But you would think, I don't know. You would think that they could do some sort of money laundering move.
Some sort of wash the money over here. We sold 11 million PJ Tucker jerseys, and then he's off the team or something like that.
Exactly.
I wonder how much revenue his jerseys are bringing in. All right, let's get out of here in a few. What's the one thing you're looking for on Thursday? Final preseason game, second game at Intuit. Let's hope they can keep the win streak going. Oh, We got Adam Oslin coming in. Adam, are you driving?
I'm about to be. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. We're live.
What's up?
What's going on?
What do you guys think?
Well, we've been talking about it for the last 40 minutes. But we thought great stuff from Kai Jones. Harden, great stuff distributing, great stuff from Zoo on the boards. I mean, KPJ is the backup point right now, and he had a great showing. Hopefully he can do it again on Thursday. And yeah, thank you, Ray. We agree. Adam, be safe. And it was good to see all the lobs. There was 28 alley-oops around this game. It was awesome. How was the crowd? How was the vibe inside the stadium?
It was loud, and it still wasn't
Hell
close
yeah.
to full, but it was loud. The wall was distinct. You could hear that kind of separate. Like, if you have like a home stereo system and you have like the 5.1 Dolby thing and you have different channels and you're watching a movie where the sound's all separated,
Right.
you could tell where the wall sound was coming from at all times.
Oh wow.
It was really impressive, and it was not close to being full.
No.
And everybody there was so hardcore. They were standing the entire time. Like, I couldn't be more impressed with the people at the wall.
Hell yeah.
Love to hear it.
That thing's going to be cracking. What are you looking for? We're doing one thing we're looking for on Thursday night without James Harden. What are you looking for from these clips?
Less turnovers. They still had 19, right? What did they have? I mean, outside of last game, they've almost averaged 20 turnovers per game. So I don't expect the usuals to play Thursday. Like, I don't think Harden's going to play. Maybe Zoo doesn't play. Maybe Batum probably doesn't play. But I don't care. They just have to do a better job taking care of the basketball overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for Terrence to pop a little bit more, especially with no Harden. If Terrence plays, 15 to 20 minutes, I'd like to see a little bit more.
More 3 attempts. He didn't attempt single.
Well, attempts in general.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, feeling pretty good. That game, like, it's nice to see. It's nice to see him kind of close it out. Adam, what was your one big thing from this game and one positive note before we send these Clippers fans out on a late Monday evening?
I mean, I think they've held teams under 100 points in every preseason game so far. They've
Number 1 defensive rating. The chat has been going crazy over the Clippers preseason defense.
You can't put everything into it because it's preseason, but I think what you can say is they are committed to being a much better defensive team under Jeff Van Gundy this season. The effort is going to be there because no matter who's been on the floor, the effort has been there on that end. I don't know about their offense at times. It's been up and down. They've relied on a lot of stuff in transition. I worry that in the half court, their offense is going to suffer more in a regular season game.
Yes.
But defensively, they are all over the place. They are flying around defensively. And I think that should travel into the regular season.
There we go. Mike Dang is on team defense. I think a lot of people have converted onto Will's "this is our year" train. So
you get that feeling, man.
Something in the air. There's something in the air, dude. Okay, Chunk is giving us shit because of James Harden and Norman Powell.
How many teams, Adam? How many actual NBA teams are they holding under 100 with Harden and Norman Powell in the starting backcourt?
I mean, Norman Powell's defense has looked pretty darn good so far in the preseason. I gotta say, it's been good. I've been watching it a lot. He's been disrupting things. He had that big block on Pods the first game against Golden State, and it was like, oh, this is different. And I've kind of been watching since then. Harden's Harden. There are good and bad moments with him defensively. He legit had good stretches with the Clippers last year on defense. It was kind of crazy. So I don't know. Everyone's bought in. And I think for Norm especially, he knows this is his opportunity. So how hard is it to go back to doing something you used to do a lot? You used to play defense a lot. So you want the starting job? You want to be a bucket on the offensive end and be featured more? It's probably time to go back to doing that. That's the easy route to get more minutes.
Some are saying we're the 05 Pistons in the chat.
So we're gonna lose to San Antonio in the finals.
Yeah, we're fucked. All right, I think on that note, we're gonna head out. Are we maybe doing a live on Thursday? Maybe not. No starters are playing, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be doing a live.
TBD.
Thursday could be a little wacky of a game.
Thursday's gonna be wonky. We will have a preview for you guys next week though, which is gonna be a good time. Adam, thank you for joining from the car. I have something on my face which doesn't feel good. Will, you're back from Japan, or in Japan. But we will be back next week. And as always, oh wait, I like this take. If it wasn't our year, Will probably wouldn't have come back home.
Damn straight. Damn straight.
Great way to put it. All right, folks, we will see y'all next week.